In this 25th anniversary year of September 11th, the Tunnel to Towers Foundation continues to honor America's heroes. Heroes like Fire Lieutenant Michael Wells, who was inspired by 9/11 to serve his community. After 14 dedicated years of service, he lost his battle with occupational cancer, leaving behind his wife, Katie, and their 3 children. Tunnel to Towers honored Lieutenant Wells by paying off the family's mortgage in recognition of his sacrifices. Donate $11 monthly and amplify your impact with a car or land donation. Go to T2T.org.
Sid, this is Frank Morano. First of all, congratulations on your induction to the New York State Hall of Fame. The fact of the matter is this is long overdue. Much like Susan Lucci finally winning that Emmy Award, it should have happened a long time ago. You are a rare radio talent. You're somebody that understands that our job is to entertain, and you do it better than anybody. But unlike so many of these people that go on the radio with the intent of entertaining, you've actually managed to have an incredible impact on public affairs in this city and this country. And unlike so many people that have managed to strike that balance between entertainment and having a meaningful impact, you don't forget the radio community. You still go back and participate in events like the Barrett Media Summit and Talkers. There's nobody that does that. I've said that you're as influential as Bob Grant was at his height, and that's true. But the fact of the matter is, at some point, Bob stopped participating in the radio community for a variety of reasons. But I think it says a lot about you that you always went back and never forgot where you came from, both geographically, being a kid from Brooklyn, and professionally being a radio guy, even while you get to dine with presidents, mayors, and prime ministers. Congratulations. It's long overdue. My only complaint is that you're not yet in the National Radio Hall of Fame.
46-5 Democrats to Republicans in our city council, and about 25 of those 46 Democrats are outright lunatics. People like Che Osei, he should be in prison. Honestly, he should be in prison. He's a sick, sick guy. Plenty of women, too. But Frank is there, and yesterday was the vote and the budget, and he and I talked a lot throughout the day. So here he is, our great city councilman out of Staten Island, Frank Morano. Frank, good morning, buddy. How are you?
Good morning, Sid. Thanks for having me. Congratulations to you and all the sports talk folks on the incredible anniversary of the fan and everything like that. And I do have to say, it's like sometimes I listen to you, and if I wasn't living what you're describing, I would think this is hyperbole. I would think the Sid is exaggerating. And I'm listening to you, and the fact is you were integral into the conversations about the city budget yesterday. Here we are getting ready to vote on a $126 billion budget, and at least on the public safety aspect of it, you were integral in terms of me getting some answers that I couldn't get from anybody else. And as I said in that clip there, I think it's part of what makes you so special, not just as a radio talent where you recognize that we're actually here to try and entertain people, but in terms of somebody that's influential. I really do hope the audience realizes how lucky they are to have you.
Oh, that's so nice. Thank you. And you did ask me to do you a favor. I did it. I made a phone call. I wasn't really confident. I'm being honest, Frank, that person was going to call me back as quickly as they did and give me the answer you were looking for. But they did, and you're talking about safety. It's obviously about the cops and the fact that Mamdani at the very last second revoked adding about 600 cops, but it's not as easy as that. So yeah. I know John Schell is very upset, and I love Vinny Balalan. Congratulations, Vinny. He's very upset, but it's not as easy as that. So I made the phone call to the one person who would know, and I gave you the answer. So is it fair to assume that after I told you what that person said, you were okay with the answer?
Well, yeah. I mean, I believed it, right? We were told that there were integral elements of the public safety community that were okay with the mayor not hiring 580 cops, which he had pledged to do, and which the police commissioner, when she was testifying before the city council, indicated they were doing. And then, just so folks understand the turn of events here, I was set to vote for this budget yesterday. There were some things in it I liked, some things that I didn't like, and then about midnight, the night before yesterday, whatever, I've lost track of whatever day it is.
Monday night.
Monday night around midnight, the mayor tells the speaker, "Oh, by the way, those 580 cops, we're not giving you those anymore. And at that point, it's too late to negotiate. Everything is set. So, but there were a lot of other elements that I was uncomfortable with this budget. A lot of good elements, too. Any budget is some good, some bad. This was one where there was more bad than good. But this is the largest budget in New York City history. Think about this. Nearly $126 billion. Just a few years ago, we thought $100 billion was unimaginable. When government grows this fast, taxpayers should expect major improvements in public safety and quality of life and basic services. I don't think this budget delivers that, and it's ultimately why I ended up voting no on the expense budget. I did vote for the capital budget, but I just think this isn't just Republicans saying that this budget is filled with gimmicks. The Citizens Budget Commission, which is pretty nonpartisan, they're one of the city's most respected nonpartisan fiscal watchdogs, not considered Republican by any means. They said the budget has a huge structural budget problem and fails to solve it. They warned that it's balanced with these one-shots, with these short-term savings and cost shifts that leave taxpayers with a gaping hole next year. Our friend Vicky Palladino, when she voted yesterday, she pointed out that this is just basically a budget based on state bailouts. This is the fiscal equivalent, and I think we've both been in this position once or twice. This is the fiscal equivalent of paying your Visa bill with your MasterCard.
You're right. It's taking money from Peter to pay Paul, and Kathy Hochul bailed Mamdani out, so I'm not sure how Mamdani is able to take a victory lap. But you need to tell me, Frank, get real specific here with the audience, because you're in there, you're voting a yes and a no yesterday. Give me two things about the budget that you think really helps New Yorkers, and give me two things that you think we took it up the ass. Yeah,
okay. Well, on the good list, there's actually I'm the chairman of the Veterans Committee, and the city has been shortchanging veterans for a long time. And even though just about every agency saw a reduction, the Department of Veteran Services, they actually got a modest increase. It's still
what does that mean? Give me in practical terms. What does that mean?
Yeah, well, so in terms of money, that means we're going from about $6,400,000 to over $7 million. And that means if you're a veteran in New York City, you will, the DVS, which does very good work, they are the Department of Veteran Services. They will be able to help connect you with veteran services, with benefits, with all sorts of other things. And as far as I'm concerned, we can't spend enough on veterans. And I think that was a very positive. The other thing, look, my district did very well, and this is, and again, I don't want to out too many private conversations here, but this, and again, you and I are kind of different in terms of how we like to handle things. I like to get along with folks, and I like to try and be accommodating. And I have, and you may disagree, and I understand why, but I have an enormous amount of respect and admiration for the current Speaker of the City Council. And she pointed out all the great things that Staten Island is getting in this budget. We're getting new parks, new libraries, renovations of firehouses. We're getting all sorts of very, very positive things. So Staten Island did very well in this budget. We got about $56 billion in capital money.
That's good.
We've never gotten this before.
That's great.
But in terms of the latter category...
hold on. Before you get to the bad stuff, why do you think... I don't feel that way about Julie. Look, there's no question that I was very angry with Julie Menin. I made it very, very clear on here and on Twitter. A lot of very famous people in this city, very famous, called me, you know this, and said, sit down with her. Go to David Goodside's place, the Beach Cafe, and have lunch with Julie. She actually likes you. I said, no, because there was no reason for her to call me an Islamophobe, not once, but twice publicly. She doubled up on me like she did to Vicky Palladino, and I was pissed. But do I think she sold out the city yesterday? No. Do I think she has tried to do things to protect New Yorkers, especially Jewish New Yorkers? Yes. So I've come around a bit on Julie. Yeah. Look, I'm always going to be a little bit resentful. I'm not going to lie. But I don't hate her, not even a little.
Yeah, no, it's just, I didn't mean to imply that you did. It's just, you have a tendency, and a lot of people that are just on the radio have the benefit of looking at the whole world in black and white. And a lot of times you're right. For instance, I think you said a while ago that chances are if you're on the same side as Mamdani, you're doing something wrong. And that's one of the reasons why after, I spoke about the budget yesterday, and somebody in the mayor's office that I've never heard of, that I've never spoken to, that's never reached out to me. They texted me out of the blue to lecture me about how I should be, how my words have actions or whatever it is that she was texting.
But I saw that text.
Yeah.
So you were kind enough to send it to me. What exactly was she referring to?
Well, so I spoke about why I was voting against the budget. And not only did I praise the speaker for the capital investment in Staten Island, and I voted again for the capital budget. And I even praised some of my progressive colleagues because unlike the mayor, throughout this whole budget process, they were totally honest. They were honest about where they were coming from. They said, this is where we are. They stayed at the negotiating table. They fought for what they wanted to fight for. And look, even though we disagree about where the city should be, you can't say they were dishonest, right? The mayor was totally and completely dishonest. I mean, this guy was running around for 5-6 months. First of all, this was after talking about this manufactured fiscal crisis where we were going to have to raise taxes on everybody, and we were still going to have a $7 billion budget deficit, and magically that just disappeared, which leads me to think it was just an excuse to try to raise taxes. But up until 2 days ago, we were getting 580 new cops. This was a done deal. It wasn't, and the mayor waited until it was too late for it to be negotiated for him to say, like Animal House, you effed up, you trusted us, this is crazy.
Yeah.
So, and that's what I think she had an issue with. Basically that, me calling the mayor out on this. But honestly, the mayor's behavior, forget about spending more money than most countries spend. The mayor's behavior, and just in terms of being an honest broker, it's abominable. So just to go back to the question you asked about what's not good in this budget, Joanne Ariola, she's a Republican from Queens, your council member. She's the chair of the fire committee. She and all the Republicans, and quite a few Democrats, by the way, she was pushing for a fifth firefighter on a lot of the fire trucks. And we all were fighting hard for a pilot program.
Which, by the way, makes sense. I'm back to watching Dennis Leary Rescue Me. I saw it 20 years ago. I'm watching it again. And my neighborhood in Bell Harbor, including my next-door neighbor, Billy, they're all firefighters. That makes sense.
Yeah, so basically we were all pushing for at least a pilot program that adds a fifth firefighter to engine companies. The FDNY acknowledged the safety benefits, and basically my take was if we could spend $126 billion, we should be able to make sure enough firefighters are on the rig when they respond to a house fire. That somehow they didn't have room for in the budget. The new cops they didn't have the room for. So we found tens of millions of dollars for what amounts to taxpayer-funded communications operations. I think it's a propaganda machine, the mayor's new community assistance unit. But we couldn't find the money to put more police officers on the street. That tells you everything you need to know about this administration's priorities. Mamdani is spending tens of millions of taxpayer dollars building what looks an awful lot like a government-funded political communication machine, whatever we want to call it, public relations, propaganda, whatever. But while City Hall is hiring people to shape the narrative and explain how good of a job they're doing, they refuse to hire the bare minimum number of cops needed to replenish the ranks.
No, listen. So in the final 60 seconds, when I start reading all these tweets and I'm getting messages from the cops and the FDNY, they reached out to me as well, and they're angry. According to you, they're right.
I believe so. And the other thing is, and I'm not disputing where the commissioner falls on her public position on this, but there's a morale problem. You talk to more cops than I do. There's a morale problem in this department. And even, first of all, in terms of raw numbers, we have fewer cops in Staten Island than we did 30 years ago, even though the population has gone up 150,000 people. So this is...
Well, that may be Staten Island, but just so the listeners know, when Eric Adams left office, he had no interest in adding cops. It's amazing. Former cop, great cop.
Oh, yeah.
The number was at about 31,000. To Jessica Tish's credit, I don't think folks even realize this, but closer to 34 now. Now, here's the issue. 3,000 or 4,000 will leave at the end of the year, and the question is, can Tish add another 1,000, which he did last year? I don't know. But the truth is, at least today, the numbers may be down on Staten Island, but they're up about 3,000 since Eric Adams left.
Yeah, you're exactly right about that. But again, because of attrition and retirements and more people eligible for retirement, we need to hire more cops. And again, it would have sent a message that at least this administration cares a bit about public safety. And unfortunately, I think that's government's first responsibility: public safety and basic services.
Agreed.
If you're spending $126 billion and still can't find room for more cops or a fifth firefighter, I think your priorities are way out of order. This budget spends like there's no tomorrow, and unfortunately, the taxpayers still have to live in tomorrow, and we're going to have to pay the bill for a lot of this nonsense next year and the year after that. The city is spending like it won the lottery, and the budget got bigger, but we didn't get any safer. I mean, think of how much larger this budget is than just last year. $10 billion. Wow. Did we get $10 billion more worth of services or public safety? Of course not. I mean, at what point do we take a breath and say we can't just keep spending endlessly?
I got to tell you the best, seriously. And I think you speak, no, I mean it, Frank, and I really believe you speak for the majority of New Yorkers. Certainly my listeners are like, yeah, Frank, we agree with you 100% because so many cops and firefighters and first responders, all those great folks love this show. So I want to thank you for your civic duty, doing a great job on the city council. I want to thank you for another great appearance this morning. And I want to thank you overall for what's really one of my favorite friendships. I think you're great. I love you. Thank you so much.
Obviously, I feel the same way. I praise you in all scenarios. You've been very good to me, both as a mentor in radio and politically when the chips were down and it was very difficult to be an advocate for me. You stood by me when very, very few others. And I just as a listener, one of the great benefits of my new schedule is that I get to hear just about all 4 hours of the show, and it means a great deal that I get to do that.
Thank you, Frank. Great job today. Thank you.
Thank you, Sid. And I, again, congratulate you on your Hall of Fame induction. Well-deserved. Have fun at Barrett Media today.
Thank you. Frank Morano, folks, there he is. He's also a great radio host, but city council member out of Staten Island.
Thanks for listening to Sid and Friends in the Morning. You can hear Sid and Friends in the Morning weekday mornings at 6. If you like the podcast, share it with your friends and listen anytime at WABCRadio.com and download the WABC Radio app. Hit that subscribe button on all major podcast platforms. Plus, follow WABC on social on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, and X. See you next time for a new episode so you never have to wonder.
What the heck is going on here?